Part 28. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 271. Chen Hao stood on the head of the black dragon, feeling the wind coming towards him while flipping through his universal book. Civilian silver fox girl. Gender, female. Name, Yao. Taming degree, 100%. The outstanding feature of the Silver Fox girls of the Silver Fox clan is charm. They have tall and charming figures and natural charm. In addition, they live in a primitive environment and wear simple clothes. Their figure, temperament, and clothes, when matched, are the type that makes men's hormones surge at a glance. Although the men of the Silver Fox clan have muscles, they also tend to be slim and beautiful. If placed in the world of Chen Hao's previous life, these men of the Silver Fox clan would all be handsome men. In terms of personality, the Silver Fox clan also tends to be gentle. This may be the characteristic of the race. Like the Bull clan, the appearance feature is a bull head. The personality feature is that each of them is like a brainless person, and they don't consider the gap between the enemy and themselves at all, and just send it desperately. Chen Hao thought about it for a while, and was too lazy to think about it. Next, Chen Hao had two things to do. One was to wait for the Temple of Light to find the other two beasts, and the other was to train the big pig to become the Lord God. Both of these things would take time. Of course, Chen Hao was not in a hurry. Chen Hao waved his hand, and the black mist spread and turned into a black chair. Chen Hao sat on the chair, leaned against the back of the chair, and then took out the Silver Fox girl card named Yao from the card slot. The Silver Fox clan is a highly intelligent life form, different from the Beast or the Pulse Beast. The training methods required for this kind of thing are also different, and the Pulse Beast card can be used as equipment. In other words, as long as it is a Pulse Beast card, it can be used as equipment. Chen Hao subconsciously looked at the pile of silver copper mantis cards lying in the book card slot. This pile of silver copper mantis cards, Chen Hao had planned to use to try fusion evolution. But later found that after the bronze mantis evolved into the silver copper mantis card through fusion, it could not continue to fuse and evolve. Now maybe I can use the silver copper mantis card as armor. Thinking about it, Chen Hao took out the silver copper mantis card. The silver copper mantis card turned into white light and merged into the silver fox girl card. As the silver fox girl, Yao successfully put on the silver copper mantis card. Chen Hao was thinking, even if she puts it on, it will probably not be much better than simply using the silver copper mantis card. But when Yao successfully put on the armor, a strange thing attracted Chen Hao's attention. Under normal circumstances, when a Silver Fox girl card is picked up, before it is integrated into the armor, the card will glow white and wait to be connected to the equipment card. After the equipment is put on, the white light will disappear. But now, the Yao card has put on the armor, but the white light did not disappear, but changed color. From white to gold, connected to the Yao card through a golden line, and the other end is connected to another silver copper mantis card in the universal book card slot. Chen Hao was slightly startled. What does it mean? Can you continue to fuse the card? Chen Hao was a little surprised. With a try-it attitude, he took out another silver copper mantis card. After the silver copper mantis card was taken out, it naturally became ethereal. Chen Hao loosened his hand, and the silver copper mantis card turned into golden light and sank into the Yao card. The light of the Yao card changed from golden light to red light, and the light once again connected to a silver copper mantis card in a universal book card slot. Can it still be melted? Wait a minute, Chen Hao muttered. Melt. Chen Hao wanted to see what Yao, who had now merged into two silver copper mantis cards, would look like. The card disappeared. A figure appeared in front of Chen Hao. Seeing the figure in front of him, Chen Hao's eyes narrowed slightly. Yao's figure appeared in front of Chen Hao. At this moment, Yao was covered with a silver-white full-cover exoskeleton armor. The armor fit her curvy figure. Behind Yao, the original foxtail was also wrapped in the exoskeleton armor, and her ears were also wrapped. This armor looks particularly exquisite. Compared with the previous bronze mantis armor, this armor is much more expensive. After Yao transformed from a card into a human form, she was a little confused at first, and then looked at Chen Hao. Their eyes met. Master Yao's voice sounded, and her eyes fell on herself. She looked at the armor on her body, raised her hand, and looked at the silver sickle-shaped weapon connected to her wrist armor. Her eyes glowed with a hint of light. Is this the power given to me by the master? Yao raised her face, and the helmet covering her head glowed with golden light, and the light dissipated. Yao's lovely face was revealed. Yao looked at Chen Hao with her sapphire-like eyes, with a joyful smile on her face. Master, I can feel this powerful force, and now I feel that I can do everything. Chen Hao looked at Yao's mental state, and he nodded slightly. The reason why Chen Hao took Yao out was that he was worried that after integrating the two silver copper mantis cards, it would have a bad effect on Yao's body. Now it seems that Yao is in good health. Chen Hao touched his chin and said, "It's a good time to do an experiment." As he said that, Chen Hao looked at the black dragon and said, "Black dragon, go down." The black dragon flapped its wings and flew down. Yao noticed the black dragon below, and her eyes lit up. Is this a giant dragon? Yao spread a pair of metal wings behind her and flew up. She followed the black dragon and looked at the black dragon's body. Her eyes were full of shock. What a big black dragon, a real dragon. The legendary dragon. Yao looked at Chen Hao in disbelief. Master, is this your beast? Chen Hao smiled and nodded. The silver copper mantis is used as armor. People wearing this armor can also gain the flying ability of the silver copper mantis. Just as Chiao said, after the card fusion, the armor will become like human hands and feet, and you can use it whenever you want. Looking at Yao's posture now, it can be seen that Chiao is right. Yao can already use the flying ability of the armor easily. The black dragon flew down and landed in the forest. Chen Hao got off the black dragon. He looked at the black dragon. Go and play, I will summon you directly when I need you. The black dragon's eyes lit up, it nodded slightly, flapped its wings, and flew up. With a strong wind, the black dragon flew away under Chen Hao's gaze. Chen Hao retracted his gaze and took out a silver copper mantis card from the universal book. He threw the card forward. Transform. A silver copper mantis appeared in front of him. The color of the silver copper mantis is a darker silver-white color. Chen Hao crossed his arms and looked at Yao. Do you have the confidence to fight it? Yao looked at the silver copper mantis in front of her, and she nodded slightly. I don't know why, I feel I can beat it. Hearing this, Chen Hao smiled. Then go over and try it. The silver copper mantis is the product of the bronze mantis that has undergone multiple fusions and reached 3-star fusion. Its strength far exceeds that of the main god. At present, the most powerful beast in Chen Hao's hands is the silver copper mantis. The silver mantis is a mutant, and it can't evolve like the silver mantis in the endless cave. The strength of the silver mantis owned by Chen Hao is about the same as that of the silver copper mantis. So it is not an exaggeration to say that the silver copper mantis is Chen Hao's strongest beast. But now, Yao said that she felt she could beat it. This made Chen Hao a little interested. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 272. Yao looked at the silver and bronze mantis in front of her. She frowned slightly and her expression became serious. Her body glowed with golden light, and a white and silver helmet covered her head. The eyes on the exquisitely armored helmet glowed blue. Yao's body moved. Chen Hao noticed that in addition to wings, there were 2 jet-like things on the exoskeleton armor behind Yao. The jet sprays out blue light as the light jets out. Yao's body suddenly disappeared. Call. Suddenly, I felt a gust of wind blowing. Chen Hao was stunned for a moment. When he came to his senses, he found that Yao's body had appeared behind the silver copper mantis. Her body was flying in the air, and the blade on her wrist was resting on the neck of the silver copper mantis. So fast. Chen Hao already shares Xiaoying's abilities, and his eyesight has been upgraded to the level of a main god. At this level, Chen Hao can clearly see the movements of the bronze mantis. When the silver bronze mantis or silver mantis uses full speed, Chen Hao can also capture the phantom. But when Yao moved just now, Chen Hao could only see the shadow of her movement, and he could hardly see anything else. This speed has surpassed that of the silver bronze mantis. But, why didn't Yao take action directly? Yao's figure is relatively tall. After putting on the armor, she is even taller, but she is still a little taller than the silver and bronze mantis, who is more than 2 meters tall. Therefore, when Yao placed the sickle behind the silver bronze mantis, she was in flying state. Yao took back the sickle and looked at Chen Hao. "Master, is this okay?" Chen Hao said with a smile, "The speed is amazing, but I don't just want to know your speed, I also want to know your destructive power. Why don't you just attack the silver and copper mantis?" Yao was startled, and she subconsciously looked at the silver copper mantis. Her eyes were shining and she looked at Chen Hao. "Master, this is your beast." Listening to Yao's confused and puzzled behavior, Chen Hao understood immediately. The reason why Yao did not attack directly was because she felt that this was her beast, so she did not dare to destroy it. Chen Hao looked at the silver and copper mantis. The silver and copper mantis stood there blankly with its pupils glowing red. The silver copper mantis is a pulse beast. Pulse beasts do not have any feelings or emotions. To say that they are beasts to control is better to say that they are machines driven by vein stones. In Chen Hao's opinion, this thing is more like a weapon than a beast. Chen Hao looked at Yao and said with a smile, "Don't worry, this is a silver copper mantis." The silver copper mantis is different from the beast. It has no emotions, it is just a machine without emotions. Well, you probably don't understand machines. You can use it as a weapon. It has no emotions, and even if you destroy it, you can still repair it. There is no damage. Be bold and show me your destructive power. Chen Hao wanted to try to evolve the silver copper mantis before, so he fused and evolved a lot of silver copper mantises. There are still a lot of them in the card slot of the Universal Book. It is not a pity if they are destroyed, and even if they are destroyed, they can be repaired by the Universal Book in a short time. It doesn't matter. When Yao heard this, she nodded, "Okay. You guys first put some distance between you." Chen Hao looked at Yao. When Yao heard this, she nodded slightly. She backed away and distanced herself from the silver and bronze mantis. Chen Hao looked at Yao and said, "Next, I will also let it attack you. You have to be careful." Yao nodded seriously. Chen Hao looked at the silver copper mantis. "Silver copper mantis." The silver copper mantis glowed red, and it looked at Chen Hao like a robot waiting for orders. Chen Hao said, "Use all your strength to attack her." The silver copper mantis's pupils lit up with red light, and its eyes fell on Yao. Suddenly, the silver copper mantis moved. Yao also moved. Chiang. Suddenly, there was a harsh metal collision. Boom. Whoa. Two strange sounds sounded. Boom. Chen Hao saw the metal head of the silver copper mantis suddenly fly into the sky. Bang bang. The body of the silver copper mantis fell, and the metal head also fell down. Suddenly, the body of the silver copper mantis disappeared together with the metal head. The Universal Book in front of Chen Hao lit up slightly, and in the empty card slot, there was a silver and bronze mantis card. Samsung Fusion Silver Bronze Mantis. Health, 1%. Taming Degree, 100%. Chen Hao was all bright. So perverted? Chen Hao looked at Yao, and Yao looked at the place where the silver and bronze mantis disappeared. She looked at Chen Hao again. "Master, is this okay?" Chen Hao nodded slightly. When Yao was used as a card, Chen Hao integrated 2 silver and bronze mantis cards into her body and used the 2 silver and bronze mantis cards as armor. It now seems that Yao now possesses the power of 2 silver and copper mantis level gang stones. Chen Hao's heart felt hot. The bronze mantis can evolve into a 3-star silver and bronze mantis through fusion evolution. After that, it can no longer fuse and evolve. But after the silver and copper mantis is armored, it can be armored multiple times. This is simply equivalent to allowing the silver copper mantis, which cannot continue to fuse and evolve, to continue to obtain fusion evolution in the form of armor. Chen Hao's eyes fell on Yao. Chen Hao remembered that after Yao merged into 2 silver and bronze mantis cards, she could continue to blend in as a card. If it continues to integrate, it will be triple armored. To what extent can her strength be improved? After triple armoring, can it be further armored? If so, can this armoring give her the power comparable to that of a beast master after ascending evolution? Thinking of this, Chen Hao suddenly became excited and expectant. He looked at Yao and said with a smile, "It looks good, but it's not enough. I plan to continue to improve your strength. I want to see how far you can improve." Yao smiled when she heard it. "Yeah. Change." Yao's body turned into a card again. After turning into a card, Chen Hao saw the front of Yao's card. Double armor silver fox girl. Name, Yao. Gender, female. Taming degree, 100%. Chen Hao took out another silver copper mantis card from the universal book. However, this time the Yao card did not emit red light. By the way. Change. Chen Hao's voice fell. The card screen switched to the equipment column. All switched to the equipment column, and the card was suddenly surrounded by red light. The light spit out a red line, connecting the silver copper mantis card. Seeing this, Chen Hao smiled. The card will enter the card fusion state after switching to the equipment column. Under normal circumstances, the card will not enter the card fusion state. Chen Hao released the silver copper mantis card in his hand, and the card turned into red light and sank into the silver fox girl card. The silver fox girl card immediately glowed red, and the light wrapped the entire card. Soon, the red light dispersed, and Chen Hao noticed that the silver-white armor in the equipment column had changed. The armor, which was originally silver-white, now turned into silver-white plus red, with white and red alternating. It looks more exquisite. Change. The card switched to the front. On the front, the double armor turned into triple armor. Triple armor silver fox girl. Seeing this, Chen Hao stretched his eyebrows. Let's try another one. Thinking of this, Chen Hao switched the card back to the equipment column. Then he took out another silver copper mantis card from the universal book. Is it no longer working? Chen Hao found that after integrating 3 silver copper mantis cards, the silver fox girl card stopped moving. It seems that integrating 3 silver copper mantis cards into triple armor is already the limit. Let's release it and see what changes there are compared to double armor. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 273. Chen Hao looked at the cards in his hand. Now it is certain that after being double armored, she has the ability to easily kill the silver bronze mantis. I just don't know if she can defeat the golden mantis wearing triple armor. Maybe she can test her combat prowess. Thinking about it, Chen Hao waved his hand. Cards fly out. Change. The card turned into Yao's figure. Yao is wearing a red and white female exoskeleton armor, which looks quite gorgeous. As soon as she appeared, The armor's eyes were dark, and suddenly, the color turned red. She raised her face and looked at Chen Hao. Master Yao's voice was full of joy. She looked at the armor on her body, raised her hand, looked at her hand, and shook it. Chen Hao looked at the girl in front of him who was completely covered in white and red exoskeleton armor. He smiled and said, "Wearing this new armor, is there any change compared to just now?" Yao was startled and said, "I feel that I am stronger. This is definitely the armor formed by the fusion of 3 silver and copper mantises, which is definitely more powerful than the 3 silver and copper mantises." Chen Hao raised his eyebrows. What about this? What Chen Hao wanted to know was whether there were any other changes. Yao was startled, then she came back to her senses and looked at Chen Hao. "Well, I feel like it can still get bigger." "Getting bigger," Chen Hao said. "What is getting bigger?" Yao looked at Chen Hao with some confusion. "Master, don't you know?" Chen Hao crossed his arms and said with a gentle smile, "I don't know, can you show me?" When Yao heard this, she nodded. Under Chen Hao's gaze, Yao spread out a pair of metal wings behind her. The wings emitted red light, and her body suddenly flew up. Extremely fast. All of a sudden, Yao's figure flew into the air. Under Chen Hao's gaze, Yao's body suddenly began to grow in size at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chen Hao took a look. This is... Yao started growing from normal human size. Transformed from human form into beast form, increasing in size. Soon, Yao's figure grew extremely large, and she now turned into a red and white mechanical fox. Yao just now seemed to be wearing a full coverage exoskeleton armor, and the mechanical fox in front of him, which was nearly 20 meters high at the shoulders, looked like a legendary mecha. "Beast form Gundam," Chen Hao couldn't help but say. Yao lowered her head slightly, her fox pupils glowing red. She looked at Chen Hao. "Master, that's it?" Chen Hao nodded slightly. He used Satya's ability and spread a pair of black wings behind him. He flew up and flew in front of Yao. He crossed his hands across his chest and looked at Yao's figure. He looked at Yao and said, "Has your body also grown bigger?" No. Yao in the form of a mechanical fox said, "My body is now located in the head of this armor, but I have no consciousness. Now I am this metal body." Chen Hao nodded slightly. "It's interesting. Is there anything special about your current form?" "Defense, speed, and attack power will be enhanced, which can be effective against larger enemies," Yao said. "If you are dealing with smaller and more flexible enemies, you should still use the human form." Chen Hao showed a smile. "You stay in this form now, I want to test your attack power." Yao hummed. Chen Hao looked at the omnipotent book floating beside him, and he took out the radiant goddess Dayaka from the book. Change. The card turned into Xiadi and appeared in front of Chen Hao. Xiadi's figure was flying in the air, her eyes closed. Yao saw the woman surrounded by golden light in front of her, and her pupils were filled with color. "So beautiful, is this also the master's beast?" Xiadi slowly opened her eyes, revealing her golden eyes. It saw Chen Hao, its eyes met, its eyes lit up slightly, and there was joy on its face. "Master." Chen Hao nodded slightly and said, "I took in a slave and wanted to test her destructive power. Use the immortality field to create a barrier and let her attack." Xiadi was startled, then she came back to her senses, subconsciously turned sideways and looked at Yao beside her. Yao shook the metal mechanical tail behind him and looked at Xiadi. "Hello, I am Yao from the Silver Fox clan." Xiadi nodded slightly and showed a friendly smile. "My true body is the goddess of light, Butterfly. My master named me. My name is Xiadi." "Then, let's start." Xiadi finished her words. Its body flew up, and Yao pulled away. It opened its hands, and a golden realm opened from it, the realm of immortality. Xiadi's position is more than 10 meters in the air when it uses the immortality field. A magic circle appeared on the ground directly below it. The magic circle expanded instantly, covering a radius of 1 kilometer. The magic array projects a hemispherical golden field covering a radius of 1 kilometer. A hemispherical golden barrier was formed. The barrier glowed with golden light. Xiaode's body glowed with golden light, and her body turned into golden light surrounding the golden man. When Yao saw this, she couldn't help but say, "God, Xiaode, is it a god?" Xiaode raised her hand, and a giant magic shield appeared in front of Yao. This giant magic shield has a radius of 20 meters and is translucent. Xiaode looked at Yao, "Try to attack this magic shield and let the master see your attack power." Yao realized the seriousness of the situation, nodded seriously, and then looked at the giant magic shield in front of her. She crouched down, and suddenly, it moved. As soon as it moved, its body rushed towards the giant magic shield. At the moment of approaching, she raised her claws and slapped the giant magic shield. Boom! Accompanied by a muffled sound. Yao's mechanical fox body twisted flexibly, landed again, and looked forward. Chen Hao's heart was shocked, and he raised his face to look at this immortal realm. The entire immortal realm trembled in an instant. Xiaode said that after it used the immortal realm, the magic shield formed connected all the light magic elements in the entire realm. Attacking the magic shield of the immortal realm is equivalent to attacking the entire realm. It can make the entire realm vibrate, and this attack power is very strong. But Chen Hao looked at the giant magic shield and found that the giant magic shield was still motionless. In other words, Yao's attack power after triple armor is still not as good as that of the golden mantis. Suddenly, Chen Hao saw Yao's body crouching again, her eyes fixed on the magic shield. Is she going to attack again? Chen Hao thought to himself. Yes, I didn't say that it could only attack once. Suddenly, Chen Hao saw that the red lines on the mechanical fox suddenly began to expand. The mechanical fox was covered with red, and it completely turned into a mechanical red fox. Chen Hao was stunned. Is this a new form? The red fox jumped again and rushed towards the magic shield. She raised her claws, and the claws lit up red light. The claws swept towards the magic shield fiercely. Boom! Accompanied by a loud noise. The giant magic shield was torn apart, and the entire immortal realm was shattered. Chen Hao's eyes had a hint of surprise. Is the attack power of the second color enough to destroy the immortal realm? I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 274. Seeing the giant magic shield shattered, Yao's red pupils lit up slightly, and she looked at Chen Hao. Master, I succeeded. Hearing this, Chen Hao smiled. Yes. Fluttershy's realm of immortality was shattered, and the light on it dissipated. It returned to Chen Hao. Chen Hao looked at Xiaode who was approaching, comparing the attack power of the golden mantis. Who do you think is stronger? Chen Hao hasn't been able to make a complete judgment yet, but Xiaode, who used magic to take over the attacks of golden mantis and Yao, should have a better idea. When Xiaode heard it, it said, Yao's speed and attack power are close to the strength of the golden mantis, but it is still a little worse than the golden mantis. Hearing this, Chen Hao nodded slightly. When Xiaode said this, Chen Hao also thought so. The golden mantis was too easy when it destroyed Xiaode's magic shield. In other words, the power provided by the armor composed of 3 silver and copper mantises is weaker than that of the golden mantis, but it is basically stronger than any beast that Chen Hao has encountered. I don't know, how does this intensity compare to Ascension evolution? Chen Hao landed on the ground and folded his black wings. Xiaode also landed next to Chen Hao. Yao took a look and saw that she also changed from the posture of the armored mechanical fox back to her human form and landed in front of Chen Hao. After turning into a human form, Yao took off her helmet. She looked at Chen Hao with her red phoenix eyes, full of expectation, looking forward to Chen Hao's next order. Chen Hao noticed Yao's eyes and raised his eyebrows. It's okay for now. You can move around freely next. Yao was startled, then she hummed and nodded slightly. Chen Hao looked away and looked at the cards lying on the universal book in front of him. Take out the big wolf and the female wind wolf from the omnipotent book. The female wind wolf's hunger and thirst levels are both decreasing. Chen Hao could choose to give it something to eat and drink directly, but, forget it, let the big wolf help, which can also increase their affection. Change. The big wolf and the female wind wolf appeared in front of Chen Hao. The big wolf still maintained its previous wolf form. When it saw Chen Hao, its eyes lit up slightly. Master. The big wolf seemed to sense something. He turned his face sideways and found that the female wind wolf was looking at it. There was joy in the big wolf's eyes, and his head was close to the female wind wolf. The two little guys rubbed each other's heads. Seeing this scene, Chen Hao showed a smile. Your wife hasn't eaten yet, so she is probably hungry. Go find her something to eat. The big wolf was startled. He looked at Chen Hao and said with a smile, okay. As it said, it wagged its tail and looked at the female wind wolf beside it. Let's go find something to eat. It turned around and was about to leave. Suddenly it seemed to think of something, and subconsciously looked around, then looked back at Chen Hao. Master, where are we now? Chen Hao said with a smile, we are now on the other side of the Warcraft Mountains. This seems to be the territory of the beast tribe. It is a bit dangerous, but remember to protect the target. When the big wolf heard this, he looked at Chen Hao. The master does not have a mysterious island. The big wolf is afraid that he will not be able to find his master when he comes back. Chen Hao was startled. Yes, before the big wolf left the mysterious island, no matter how long it left, it could find Chen Hao through the location of the mysterious island. But now there is no landmark building like the mysterious island. It has left. If Chen Hao uses magic like teleportation to run around, it will be difficult to find. Chen Hao smiled. Are you a child? Are you afraid of this or that? Don't worry, and go play. The master can call you back at any time if he wants to find you. The master didn't find you, he just gave you a holiday and asked you to go early. Give birth to some wolf cubs with it. A silly smile suddenly appeared on the big wolf's face. The tail behind it was wagging particularly cheerfully, and it looked at the female wolf beside it. Let's go. With that said, it left with the female wolf. The big wolf is currently the god of thunder in the main god stage. In VAF continent, its strength is basically sideways. Protecting the female wolf is naturally easy. Chen Hao watched the big wolf leave. If possible, give the big wolf a day off and give it some time to get a few wolf cubs out. Looking at it now, the birth of this wolf cub is probably inevitable. Chen Hao smiled. In any case, he is also an adult wolf. Chen Hao withdrew his gaze and held the beast control card. This beast controlling cluster card contains all the beast controllers located on the mysterious island. Chen Hao waved his hand. Change. On the broad plain ahead, figures suddenly appeared. One after another, humanoid beasts appeared in front of Chen Hao. All of a sudden, these beasts filled the entire plain. They first looked confused, then looked at Chen Hao. Master, the group of little guys shouted together, and the master who shouted out in unison was directly connected. Chen Hao flapped his wings and flew into the air, looking at the beast masters below. The beast masters looked at Chen Hao flying in the sky with admiration in their eyes. Chen Hao looked down at the beast masters below, with a gentle smile on his face. The mysterious island is no longer there for the time being. I need to train the big pig to the main god stage, and then we will have a new territory. Before that, I will release you first, and you can move freely first. With your current strength, you can go anywhere in the entire VAF continent. You go and have fun, explore this continent, and play around. When Big Pig reaches the main god stage and we have a new place, I will call you back. Beast Masters, look at me and I'll look at you. Except for the experienced beasts such as Fire Fox, Big Bear, Shataya, Snow Girl, and Little Butterfly, the other beasts that Chen Hao had trained since childhood all looked confused at this moment. Fire Fox, Big Bear, and Snow Girl have rich experience in the wild, and they know what to do in the wild. But those little guys who have been with Chen Hao since childhood are more confused. Because the focus of their lives is on Chen Hao, for example, Shui Yi and the others who have evolved into six-winged ice crystal angels. Chen Hao looked at Shui Yi and the others' confused posture. Seeing this, Chen Hao smiled and said, "So, Shui Yi and the others, follow Fire Fox and let Fire Fox take you to play." Chen Hao looked at Fire Fox, and the elegant Fire Fox stood there as elegantly as always, looking at the sight that Chen Hao cast. Fire Fox subconsciously glanced at Shui Yi and the others, it retracted its gaze, looked at Chen Hao, and nodded slightly. Normally, Shui Yi and the others are water, and Fire Fox is fire, and the two are incompatible. But the Fire Fox is special. It can control its emotions and not be driven by the irritability of the fire demon element. It is best to let it accompany Shui Yi and be the teacher of these little guys. After all, they have to grow up. Chen Hao looked at Shui Yi and said with a smile, "Shui Yi, what do you guys say?" Shui Yi listened and looked at Shui Er and Shuizhen. Shui Yi looked at Chen Hao and smiled, Shui Yi listens to the master's arrangements. Shui Yi does whatever the master asks him to do. Chen Hao smiled and nodded slightly. He glanced at the beast masters, if anyone doesn't quite understand what to do, you can go to Big Bear, Zayadi, Ross, Snow Girl, and Satya to ask them, or follow them to explore the world together. Okay, disband, everyone is free to move. Hearing this, the beast masters began to look for organizations one by one. Chen Hao saw Shui Yi and the others running to the Fire Fox, and Shui Yi said, "Grandma Fire Fox, where are we going next?" The Fire Fox's mouth twitched, "Call me sister." "Oh, Sister Fire Fox," Shui Yi smiled and said, "where are we going next?" "Come with me to the Warcraft Forest, I'll take you to see this world." "Okay." Hee, Shui Yi was happy. A pair of flaming wings spread out behind the Fire Fox and flew up. Shui Yi and the others flapped their wings to catch up with the Fire Fox. The other beasts left one by one. Watching this scene, Chen Hao smiled and crossed his arms. Yao, who was standing by, looked at the beasts in front of her who were using various magics and spreading various wings to leave. Her eyes widened and her mouth opened slightly, such a strong magic breath, are they all god-level beasts? Hearing Yao's voice, Chen Hao glanced at Yao and retracted his gaze. God-level? Some are not yet. Chen Hao planned to wait until the big pig was trained, and then train the other beasts of the God Lord stage to the main God stage little by little. This matter was not very urgent. Suddenly, Chen Hao noticed that the second wolf was walking with the big bear, with a smile on his face, pestering the big bear and talking and laughing. It seems that the second wolf chose to explore with the big bear. As a middle-aged uncle, the big bear occasionally opened his mouth to answer, and it glanced at the second wolf expressionlessly, with depression and helplessness in his eyes. With the character of the second wolf, it is estimated that the big bear would be driven crazy. However, the big bear has a good character. If it were Chen Hao, he would have directly hit people with stones. Chen Hao couldn't help but think of the relationship between the big bear and the three-headed wind wolf. Suddenly, Chen Hao's mind flashed. The big bear is now a main god. With its ability, it is impossible for it not to feel about the three-headed wind wolf. Unless, the big bear already knows. Could it be that the big bear was not so kind to the three wind wolves because he had a good temper, but because he knew that he was the one who killed their mother, so? And did the wind wolves also know about this? Thinking of this, Chen Hao suddenly felt a little overwhelmed, and he touched the back of his head. Forget it, just turn a blind eye. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wu Nian. Chapter 275. The place where Chen Hao is at this moment is a plain. But soon there was a towering tree on the plain. Around this towering tree, a group of high-level wood elves with pointed ears were moving around. Some are sitting on the branches of big trees, and some are flapping their transparent wings and flying in the air. Under this towering tree, there is a small wooden house. In front of the cabin, Chen Hao sat on a lounge chair made of woven vines. In front of Chen Hao was a snow-white mink. The bright mink stood on its hind legs, just like a human being, raising its forelimbs, clasping its paws around its chest, and looking at Chen Hao with its golden eyes. That fluffy triangular head looks a bit handsome. Only it hasn't changed. Chen Hao touched his chin. Why, there hasn't been any change at all. Most of the people Chen Hao let out to roam freely were a group of divine kings and master god level beasts. Of course, there were also cases like Big Wolf's companion. Chen Hao planned to cultivate the beasts like Guangming mink, Felian cubs, and some beasts whose strength has not reached the divine king stage first. After he was free, Chen Hao opened the omnipotent book to see the situation of Guangming mink and Felian's cubs. Mature stage bright mink. Taming degree, 100%. The bright marten has evolved from the cub stage to the mature stage. But, nothing has changed. Except for the change of the prefix of the card, the appearance and so on have not changed. Still in the form of a ferret. When the bright ferret heard this, it smiled and said, "Why do you want to change? My previous owner said I was cool. I think my appearance is the coolest and there is no need to change." Master must think so too, right? Guangming Martin raised the corners of his mouth, revealing a proud and confident smile. After listening, Chen Hao looked at Guangming Diao in silence. Confidence? No, this guy is no longer confident, this is narcissism. It is too confident in its appearance, so it chooses not to change the evolution of its appearance. Before, King Lu said that strange beasts can handle their own form changes. If Guangming Martin doesn't want to change, it's naturally okay. But, this can probably be considered narcissism. Chen Hao looked at Fei Lian. Maturity period Fei Lian. Taming degree, 100%. Felian, when he was still a cub, was about the same size as a bright marten, but now Felian has grown up. It looks a bit like it was a cub, with wings growing out of its back. At this moment, its size is about the same size as a wild deer. Fei Lian's eyes were gentle, giving him a look of being knowledgeable and reasonable. Both of these guys have male voices. Chen Hao looked at Fei Lian. How does Fei Lian feel? Fei Lian was startled and looked at Chen Hao. Chen Hao said with a smile, "This must be your first time turning into a strange beast, are you still used to it?" Fei Lian nodded slightly. Fei Lian feels pretty good, especially being able to stay with his master, it feels good. "Master, I feel very good too." Guangming Martin also spoke out. Chen Hao looked at Guangming Mink, and saw Guangming Mink jumped up and jumped onto the table nearby. It raised its chin and said, "In the entire VAF continent, only the master can be cooler than me. All other guys are not considered in my eyes. It feels so cool to be with a cool owner." Chen Hao couldn't help but laugh. "You are the only one who talks too much. Okay, you two go back to your books and stay in your books first, and grow to the main god stage as soon as possible. By then, I still have something for you to do," Chen Hao said with a smile. "It's cool to be able to help the master," Guangming Diao said with a smile. Chen Hao smiled. Guangming Mink and Felian disappeared together. It turned into two cards and floated in front of Chen Hao. Chen Hao put away the cards. Call. The wind blew and Chen Hao felt a cool feeling. Above, there was the sound of the wind blowing through the leaves. Chen Hao lay back on the lounge chair made of vines, looking up and down. Above and in front is a tree that looks like a banyan tree, but is much larger than the banyan tree. It is estimated to be more than 2,000 meters tall. Now it can be regarded as a forest of trees. The shadow it cast over everything. At the same time, it also blocked Chen Hao from the hot sunshine outside. Stay under the shade of the trees, feel the wind, and feel cool. This big tree is the former little wood spirit, but now it has evolved to the Divine King stage. Shenjun period, the sacred tree of life. Taming degree, 100%. Chen Hao could see that under the branches of the divine tree of life, there were green fruits emitting fluorescence. Through these green fruits, you can vaguely see the shadow of the wood elves being nurtured inside. Wood elves, whether high-level wood elves or ordinary wood elves, are monsters. It is completely different from the elves created by the goddess of life. Chen Hao said, "Little wood spirit." Suddenly, a tree root appeared on the ground next to Chen Hao. The root grew rapidly and condensed into a human shape. A young man with green fluorescence all over his body is the humanoid form of the divine tree of life. It saluted Chen Hao, "Master." Chen Hao took out a card from the universal book and threw it away. The card flew towards the little wood spirit. The little wood spirit was stunned and stretched out its hand. Change. The cards turned into bright green crystals. The little wood spirit took it, opened its hands, looked at the crystal in its hand, felt the surging divine breath in the crystal, its pupils condensed slightly, and then looked at Chen Hao, "Master, what is this?" Chen Hao looked at the little wood spirit, "Divine, I think it's time for you to become a god. After becoming a god, the creatures you can cultivate will no longer be restricted to monsters." The little wood spirit's eyes lit up slightly, and it said gratefully, "Thank you, Master." It looked at the divine in its hand, and then put the divine into its mouth. "Eat it." After eating it, its body turned into a tree root again and merged into the ground. Chen Hao looked forward. Suddenly, he saw that the whole sacred tree was instantly lit up with green fluorescence. The fluorescence slowly dispersed. When the fluorescence enveloped Chen Hao could smell a faint scent of green grass. Immediately, Chen Hao noticed that buds had grown on the vine chair where he was sitting. The buds grew rapidly and bloomed into flowers. In addition to the chairs, grass and flowers also appeared on the ground. Chen Hao noticed that the wood elves around him looked cheerful. It's the breath of life. Such a strong breath of life. The wood elves flapped their wings happily, looking at the sacred tree with excitement and joy. Chen Hao took out the identification device. Facing the fluorescent sacred tree in front of him. Main God stage, ancient god of life. Taming degree, 100%. Ancient god of life, a wood attribute monster, evolved from the sacred tree of life. Ancient god of life is a main god stage monster with the power to create all living things. Unique ability, the birth of living things. When Chen Hao saw this description, he was a little confused. Create all living things. What does it mean? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 276. Chen Hao raised his face and looked at the giant fluorescent tree in front of him. The ancient god of life has no domain. But it has a unique skill, the arrival of creatures. Say yes, it can create all living things. What does this description mean? All living things. Could it be that the current little wood spirit can not only create wood elves, but also other creatures? At this time, Chen Hao noticed that the wood elves surrounding the ancient god of life were surrounded by green fluorescence. They seemed to feel something and closed their eyes one by one. All the nearby wood elves were wrapped in what looked like green bubbles. The green bubble slowly became thicker and no longer transparent. The figure inside can only be vaguely seen with the naked eye. Seeing this, Chen Hao understood that it was the little wood spirit that used its ability on these wood elves. Is this what the little wood spirit is sharing with the wood elves? When Chen Hao was confused, the ancient god of life turned into fluorescent light, and then under Chen Hao's gaze, the huge body began to shrink. In the blink of an eye, he transformed into a human form. A young man with long green hair and a faint fluorescent glow appeared in front of Chen Hao. It is the little wood spirit who has entered the main god stage. After the little wood spirit turned into a human form, it slowly opened its eyes, revealing its emerald eyes, and looked at Chen Hao. It raised its hand, put it on its chest, and bent slightly towards Chen Hao. Master. Chen Hao looked at the little wood spirit. Aren't you going to continue giving birth to wood elves? The little wood spirit was startled, and then explained, Master, now I have evolved into the ancient god of life. As the ancient god of life, I can give birth to new life without the method of fruit breeding. Well. Chen Hao crossed his chest with his hands and glanced around. Chen Hao was surrounded by countless green balls wrapped in wood elves. What is that? I have evolved to the main god stage, so I want them to evolve as well. The little wood spirit responded to Chen Hao, and glanced at the green balls. One after another, there were cracks on the green balls. Suddenly, the green ball broke open. One after another figures appeared in front of Chen Hao. Upon entering his eyes, Chen Hao was slightly startled. This is the wood elves who originally had transparent butterfly wings and pointed ears. After emerging from the green ball, the butterfly wings behind them turned into 6 pairs of white wings. Chen Hao glanced at the picture projected by the identification device in front of him. There were words in the picture. Shenjun period 6-winged forest angel. The 6-winged forest angel evolved from the high-level wood elf and possesses the powerful strength of the divine king stage. Chen Hao stretched his eyebrows. Now Chen Hao can be sure of one thing. Shui Yi was also the 0-degree elf who evolved into the current 6-winged extreme cold angel. It seems that for some magic bodies with a single attribute, similar to the little water spirits and fire spirits at the beginning, if they choose the direction of evolution to be elves, in the end, they will all evolve into angels. Chen Hao can confirm that angels are the superior evolved form of elves. The number of angel wings determines their strength. And now these 6-winged forest angels already have strength comparable to Shui Yi. In an instant, he transformed from a high-level wood elf into a 6-winged forest angel. Is this the power of the Lord God? Chen Hao is somewhat novel. However, this is considered normal. In fact, after reaching the main god stage, the big wolves can also create their own subordinates, just like the god king angels created by Balder. It's just that the big wolves didn't have this need, so they didn't create it. Just because they don't have creation doesn't mean they can't do it, it just doesn't mean they don't have the need. Chen Hao withdrew his gaze and looked at the little wood spirit. I just saw from your ability description that you can create all living things. What does this mean? I remember that you are of the wood attribute, so you can give birth to wood elves and forest angels. I think, if I understand correctly, wood elves cannot represent all living things, right? When the little wood spirit, the ancient god of life, heard this, it explained, all things come from wood. Master, my fighting power is not good, but now I can give birth to all life forms in the 7 series. Hearing this, Chen Hao's pupils suddenly condensed. What? Did I hear that correctly? Chen Hao adjusted his mood slightly and looked at the little wood spirit. If I asked you to give birth to a creature that is exactly the same as a fire phoenix, can you do it? The little wood spirit nodded slightly. Okay. This. Incredible. Fire phoenix, that is a strange beast. However, Master, the fire phoenix is a strange beast. The earth's core fire it possesses takes a lot of time to breed. The little wood spirit looked at Chen Hao and said softly, I want to breed a fire phoenix that is exactly the same as the fire phoenix. Living things take about 100,000 years. For it. Chen Hao immediately fell silent. 100,000 years, just kidding. Although it took time, it was enough to shock Chen Hao. However, why does wood produce all things? Shouldn't everything be aquatic? But then I thought about it, and it seemed right. Wood magic element in this world does not only refer to trees, it refers to all plants. Plants themselves contain water, dead plants can be used as soil, plants themselves can absorb light and perform photosynthesis, and wood can also make fire. If you say that wood magic can be converted into everything else, it can really be done. But water can't be converted into wood by water alone. After thinking it through, Chen Hao didn't bother with this problem anymore. But Chen Hao now has another idea. AI said that if you want to go to the gem world and get what you need for genetic ascension and evolution, you need to gather 7 series of exotic beasts to do it. Now I have the Fire Phoenix representing fire, Xiaobai representing water, Kinglu representing wood, Guangming Martin representing light, and Felian representing wind, and I only need 2 other exotic beasts. Can I use the ability of Xiao Muling to directly breed the other 2 exotic beasts? But the problem is, according to Xiao Muling, it takes more than 20,000 years to breed exotic beasts. Wait a minute. Chen Hao looked at Xiao Muling. If the Fire Phoenix I want you to breed is the Fire Phoenix in the cub stage? In this way, will the speed be faster? Xiao Muling nodded slightly. If it is only the cub stage, not the current main god stage, it only takes 1 month to breed it. Sure enough. The reason why Chen Hao asked that question was because he realized that the 100,000 years mentioned by Xiao Muling meant that Xiao Muling would directly breed a Fire Phoenix of the Lord God stage. If it was a cub, it would be different. Realizing this, Chen Hao stretched his eyebrows and smiled. It seems that using Xiao Muling's ability to directly breed 2 other beasts is really possible. You can try it. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 277. Among the 7 series of exotic beasts, the only one left now that I don't own is Dark Beasts and Earth Beasts. Chen Hao crossed his arms over his chest. He looked at the little wood spirit. I want you to breed Dark Beasts and Earth Beasts. Is there any way? The little wood spirit looked at Chen Hao. Master, in order to breed a designated creature, I need to know the creature's composition, appearance, and abilities. It is best for me to see it with my own eyes. Chen Hao raised his eyebrows. In other words, the little wood spirit has to see that kind of creature. I originally wanted Xiao Muling to directly bring out those 2 series of strange beasts, but now it seems that this is not possible. It seems that we still have to wait for the Temple of Light to search for it. However, I ordered Balder to tell the Temple of Light about this matter. Why hasn't Balder returned after being away for so long? Chen Hao was thinking. Suddenly, a bright light came from above. Feeling the light, Chen Hao raised his face and took a look. I saw a figure with a golden halo appearing in the sky. A man with golden eyes and 3 pairs of white wings flew from a short distance away. It is Balder, the Lord God of Light. When Badra saw Chen Hao, it flapped its wings quickly and turned into a long golden light, falling in front of Chen Hao. Chen Hao looked at Badra, who was kneeling in front of him with a respectful look. He murmured in his heart that he should simply rename this guy Cao. Say it, it goes. Badra knelt down on one knee, put his hand on his chest, lowered his head slightly, and said respectfully, Master. Chen Hao looked at Badra's serious attitude and smiled gently. Get up, how is the situation? When Balder heard this, it stood up respectfully, reached into its cuffs, and took out 2 cards from the pocket inside the cuffs. It handed the card to Chen Hao. Huh, Chen Hao had a hint of doubt in his eyes. What is it? Chen Hao stretched out his hand habitually and took it. He glanced. His eyes widened. This. Infancy. You take advantage of the yellow color in your childhood. Taming, 0. Cheng Huang. In his childhood, an earth attribute monster, a strange beast transformed from the bones of the earth, with extremely powerful defense. Pup stage Yueying Cub. Taming, 0. The Yueying Cub is a dark attribute monster. It is a strange beast transformed from the dark shadow produced during the solar eclipse. It has powerful control over dark magic. Earth attribute beasts and dark attribute beasts. Chen Hao never expected that he asked Bader to investigate the location of these two items. As a result, he immediately turned the two items into cards and brought them back. Chen Hao looked at Badr. No wonder you've been there for so long. It turns out it's because of this. Bader nodded slightly. It's not difficult to capture Yueying. What's difficult is Cheng Huang. Cheng Huang hides on the ground and is difficult to catch. So it took some time. Oh, what this thing means is, it could have been faster. Chen Hao looked at Badr, who looked respectful, and said with a smile, well done. Hearing this, Badr nodded slightly. Chen Hao looked at Badr's expressionless and serious attitude. He flexed his eyebrows. Badr is like this, even if you praise him, he will be like this, and if you don't praise him, he will be like this. Forget it, ignore it. Thinking about it, Chen Hao's eyes fell on the two cards in his hand. However, why do the names of these two cards look so familiar? Take advantage of Huang? Isn't this a fairy tale? Riding it is said to increase your lifespan. Chen Hao looked at Chen Huang's appearance on the card. Chen Huang is yellow all over and looks like a yellow fox. There are two horns on its back, located at the shoulder blades. It's all plush and has a cute look. As for Yueying, what you can see from the picture on the card is a slender girl, but behind the girl, there is a silver-white ring surrounding her. In this way, you have collected 7 exotic beast cards. To open the passage through the gem world, you need to collect 7 alien beast cards from the main god stage. Now you have all 7 alien beast cards, but you need to train them to the main god stage. Chen Hao put the yellow card and the ghost card into the universal book. Chen Hao crossed his arms and looked at the 2 cards. Tomorrow Cheng Huang and Yueying's tameness will reach 100, and then they can be released and taken a closer look. Let them stay in books for now. I remember Xiaobai and Huaxian. Those 2 little guys are still in the god general stage. The alien beasts have to be promoted to the main god stage. It's time to call them back. That night, Chen Hao called Xiaobai and Huaxian back. Then, culture. Time flies. 2 days later. Chen Hao raised his face and looked at the giant eastern dragon flying in the sky. After 2 days of training, Xiaobai has evolved from the walking dragon of the previous god general stage to the main god stage. At this moment, Xiaobai's body was golden, and strangely, a pair of wings grew out of its back. It is obviously an eastern dragon, but it has a pair of wings. However, these wings are different from the western dragon's flesh wings. They are giant wings made of golden wings. Main god period Yinglong. Taming degree, 100%. Yinglong, a monster with 5 attributes of Feng, water, earth, fire, and wood, evolved from the 5-clawed golden dragon. Yinglong can open up an independent space and create a new world. It has a unique ability, creation. Chen Hao crossed his chest with his hands and watched this scene. I've never seen a 5-element monster before. Chen Hao muttered, I didn't expect that after reaching the main god stage, Xiaobai actually turned into Xiaojin, and also mutated into Yinglong with 5 attributes coexisting. And, creation, this skill looks a bit perverted. As he said this, Chen Hao retracted his sight and looked to the other side. A woman with a red halo all over her body, wearing a red dress, and looking charming and seductive stood there. It stood in the red sea of flowers with a flower umbrella in its hand, looking at Yinglong above. This woman is the flower demon, but now it has evolved to the main god stage. Main god stage charming flower god. Taming degree, 100%. Charming flower god, a wood-attributed monster, evolved from the unparalleled flower fairy, The charming flower god is the main god of the wood attribute, with a strong control ability, and a special move, thousands of graces. Chen Hao retracted his sight and looked at his side. I saw a bright marten standing on the wooden table, which had already entered the holy beast stage, but its appearance had not changed at all. It was lifting its body like a human, with its claws around its chest, looking at Yinglong in the sky. And Cheng Huang is now in the Beast King stage. Cheng Huang is yellow and furry, and looks like a fox, but in its mature stage, its body is much larger than a fox, and now it looks like a horse. It has a pair of horns on its back. Chen Hao retracted his gaze and looked at another strange beast. Mature stage Yueying. Yueying is a little strange. It looks like a slender little girl, estimated to be less than 7 or 8 years old, wearing a thin light blue gauze skirt, which wraps its slender figure. It looks pure and cute, no problem. The only problem is that behind it, there is a ring that cannot be touched by hands. The ring is like a moon wheel with a hole in the middle, floating behind Yueying. Chen Hao retracted his gaze and looked at Yinglong flying in the air. Tomorrow the big pig can also be promoted to the main god stage. In addition to the big pig, these small beasts can also be slowly cultivated to the main god stage. As long as 7 beasts reach the main god stage, they can go to the gem world. I don't know what kind of place the gem world is. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 278. Chen Hao was lying on a lounge chair made of woven vines, pillows on his head, and looked at the Yinglong flying above in the blue sky. He felt the wind blowing next to him, slowly closed his eyes, smelled the faint fragrance of green grass, and felt the wind blowing. At this time, the sun in the sky poked its head out from the white clouds, and some bright light shone on the earth. When the light was about to hit Chen Hao, Xiao Muling, the ancient god of life, raised his hand. The green fluorescence lit up and transformed into a large tree that was more than 20 meters tall. A big tree stretched out its branches, and dense leaves grew on the branches at a speed visible to the naked eye. The leaves formed a natural umbrella to block the light. Chen Hao was shrouded in the shade of trees, and the sunlight that penetrated through the clouds was blocked. Chen Hao, who was not affected, continued to take a nap with his eyes closed. The little wood spirit took back his hand. Noticing the little wood spirit's behavior, the dear girl on the side smiled appreciatively at the little wood spirit. The little wood spirit nodded slightly. The dear girl looked at Chen Hao and stayed by his side quietly. Yinglong was hovering in mid-air, stepping on the white clouds, looking at Chen Hao who was sleeping below, his golden pupils glowing with a hint of luster. It raised its huge head and looked forward. 1,000 meters away from here, a huge dark cloud is surging towards this side. Yinglong's pupils glowed with a golden light. The dark cloud instantly dissipated without a trace. After getting rid of the dark clouds that might disturb its owner's rest, Yinglong glanced at Chen Hao again to make sure that his owner was fine. Then he started to flap his wings and swim around. Beside Chen Hao, Xiaoying and Ziadi, who had returned from unknown time, stood aside. Guangming Diao, Cheng Huang, Huashan, Felian, Yueying, Huofeng and the silver fox girls in silver and copper armor were also standing on the side, watching Chen Hao sleep peacefully. Don't disturb the master's rest. The dear girl lowered her voice, you all go to the nearby area. Remember to pay attention to the surroundings and don't let any suspicious guys approach. They all responded and dispersed. The dear girl looked at Chen Hao who was sleeping, her eyes were gentle. Chen Hao didn't know what the beast was doing after he fell asleep, and of course he didn't really care. I just felt comfortable and fell asleep. Time flies. On the second day, after Chen Hao washed up, he ate the breakfast Ziadi prepared for himself. He left the wooden house and sat on the wooden chair as usual. Open the pages of the omnipotent book. Take out a card from inside. Chen Hao took the card and looked at it. Shenzhen period the hanging continent. Taming degree, 100%. The giant suspended island is a wood-type monster that evolved from a 100-story suspended city. It looks like a land suspended in the sky, with an area comparable to a lost continent. After Chen Hao looked at it, he took out a wood attribute god card from the omnipotent book. Change. The wood attribute godhead card turned into a green diamond-shaped godhead. Change. As Chen Hao finished speaking, the godhead turned into green light, and the light merged into the hanging continent card. The moment when the godhead merges into the suspended continent card, the hanging continent card glowed with a dazzling white light. The entire card is covered in white light. When the white light dissipated, the card in Chen Hao's hand completely changed its appearance. Main God period realm god. Chen Hao was stunned when he saw this name. World god. Not an island, not a land, but a world god. What's the meaning? Chen Hao opened it. Main god period realm god. Taming degree, 100%. World god, a monster with all attributes, evolved from the hanging continent. World god is a creature that evolved through mutation. It is a main god with all attributes and a territorial main god. It is a world of its own and is an extremely special monster. Chen Hao's eyes fell on the picture on the card. Seeing this picture, Chen Hao was a little confused. This is. The picture on the card is different from any beast control Chen Hao has seen so far. If I guessed correctly, this should be a planet. What is shown in the picture is exactly what a planet looks like. It calls itself a realm. In this description, does world mean the planet? Big Pig, this guy, is getting more and more exaggerated. Chen Hao touched his nose. Even Chen Hao felt the scene was too shocking. Just release it, no problem. It shouldn't be a problem, just give it a try and you'll know. Anyway, he won't die, and logically speaking, the Lord God's strength is probably not enough to shake the planet under his feet. It looks like a planet in the picture, and I guess it's about average in size. Change. The card disappears. A white light appeared in front of Chen Hao, and the white light condensed into a human shape. A figure appeared in front of Chen Hao. It's the Big Pig. However, the Big Pig looks different from before. It has long silver white hair, a handsome white face, and is covered in a particularly luxurious-looking white robe with gold rims on it. The Big Pig opened its eyes, its pupils were colorful, and it looked at Chen Hao. Meeting Chen Hao's gaze, the Big Pig's eyes lit up slightly. It raised its hand, put it in front of its chest, and gave a slight salute to Chen Hao, Master. Fortunately, it's in human form. Chen Hao looked at the Big Pig and said with a smile, I'm really afraid that you will turn into your true form directly, and I'm afraid that many people will be killed by then. Dazu looked at Chen Hao, Master, Dazu's body has come out. What is in front of you now, Master, is just Dazu's clone. Huh, there was a hint of doubt in Chen Hao's eyes, where is your body? When Big Pig heard this, he turned his face slightly and looked at the sky above. Chen Hao looked in the direction that Big Pig was looking. Enter the eye. Chen Hao's pupils condensed slightly, and he couldn't help but swallow. In the sky above, a giant blurry silhouette could be seen. This feeling is like the feeling of the moon being pulled very close. This giant gray silhouette covers 1/3 of the sky. Very scary. At the same time, in the Thunder Silver city of the Thunder Silver Empire, people were coming and going on the streets of Laiyan City. My God, someone shouted. As the sound rang out, some people looked to the sky. When people looked up to the sky, they saw a scene that shocked them. In the blue sky, the outline of a huge planet can be vaguely seen. People fell to the ground, their mouths opened wide, their eyes widened, and they looked at the sky. Some people put their hands on their chests, their faces pale, and prayed, Great God of light, please bless your believers. Is the sky going to fall? Someone murmured to himself. At the same time, inside the Dharma temple, the god of Dharma stood in front of the balcony, his silhouette in the sky. The god of Dharma stared blankly, his mouth slightly open, his face full of disbelief. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 279. In the Sword God Hall, the Sword God, who was holding 1,000 jin heavy sword, was swinging the heavy sword in his hand for training. Grandfather, suddenly, a voice came. The Sword God came back to his senses and looked at the great-grandson who was speaking. He saw that the great-grandson was looking up at the sky, and his face was full of horror. The Sword God frowned. What a fuss. As he said, he looked in the direction where the great-grandson was looking. When he saw it, the Sword God's pupils condensed. Bang! The heavy sword fell to the ground, making a muffled sound, and dust flew. The Sword God stared at the vague outline of the planet in the sky above, and he swallowed his saliva. What is this? Could it be? At the same time, the god of law and the god of swords said subconsciously. Is it so big? Chen Hao was also staring at the sky. Is it so big? Chen Hao murmured subconsciously. Actually, it's not that big, the big pig explained. My body is only half the size of the WAF continent. I created an ocean in my body to make it easier for the owner to live in my body. The ocean occupies 2/3 of my body area, the big pig continued. Chen Hao looked at the big pig. Isn't this big? The big pig was startled, and it lowered its head slightly embarrassedly. However, compared to the planet under its feet, it is indeed not very big. Although the WAF continent is the largest continent on this planet, in fact, most of this planet is covered by the ocean. The area occupied by WAF is less than 1/20th. In other words, the size of the big pig is estimated to be similar to the size of a natural satellite. But, that size is also quite explosive. The big pig gave up its own attack power and evolved towards the direction of a territorial monster, but after reaching the main god stage, it became so abnormal. Suddenly, a sentence rang in Chen Hao's mind: the weaker the early stage, the stronger the later stage. Is this what you mean? Chen Hao looked at the big pig. Then how do we get up? The big pig looked at Chen Hao respectfully. You can use teleportation or teleportation. I can use the teleportation array leading to my main body to take the master there, the big pig explained. Oh, I almost forgot, there is also teleportation. So, what if you want to leave? Although Xiaoying and Shataya can use teleportation to leave, what about other beasts? The big pig's main body is estimated to be a distance away from the WAF continent. How do they leave? In order to facilitate the master and other beasts to leave, I set up a teleportation array in the main body, the big pig continued. Chen Hao was stunned. Did it give the answer before he asked? This thing is really scary. Suddenly, a voice came. Chen Hao came back to his senses and found that Huo Feng, King Lu, Xiaobai, Xiaoying, Xiadi, Muling and Yao had come over at some point. It was Fire Phoenix who spoke just now. Fire Phoenix crossed her arms and looked at the sky above. The only expression on her usually proud face was shock. As a main god and a strange beast, Fire Phoenix was also frightened by the change of the big pig. The other beasts were also shocked. Chen Hao retracted his gaze, looked at the big pig, and said with a smile, "Okay, then we will move to another place. Let's build the teleportation array." The big pig nodded slightly. It waved its hand. A white light lit up under its feet. The light turned into a white teleportation array. The teleportation array expanded rapidly and eventually turned into a teleportation array with a diameter of about 10 meters. This teleportation array enveloped Chen Hao and all the beasts around him. White light lit up from the teleportation array. Chen Hao only felt a flash of white light in front of his eyes. When Chen Hao came to his senses, he found that the surrounding environment had changed. What is this? Chen Hao looked ahead. In front of Chen Hao was a familiar palace. The appearance of this palace is exactly the same as the palace on the mysterious island before. Chen Hao raised his head and looked up, and saw the blue sky and white clouds. Chen Hao looked at the big pig beside him, with doubt in his eyes. The big pig looked at Chen Hao. Master, we are already in my body now. Really? Why do I feel like I am still in the WAF continent? Huo Feng said subconsciously. Listening to Huo Feng's doubts, the big pig explained, the environment in my body is similar to the environment in the WAF continent, so when you stand in my body, what you see will be similar. That's not right. Huo Feng crossed his arms and looked at the big pig. When we were in the WAF continent, we could see the outline of your body, but now we can't see the WAF continent. Hearing this, Chen Hao automatically had the answer in his mind. Before the big pig could speak, Chen Hao spoke, because we are on the other side of the big pig's body, on the sunny side. Hearing what Chen Hao said, the people around him who were confused looked at Chen Hao one by one. Chen Hao looked at the big pig. Right. The big pig nodded slightly. Yes, I don't know why, my body can feel that I am being pulled by a force. I am now a sphere, and the side that is being pulled will always face the side of the WAF continent. So, I teleported everyone to this side, which faces the sun and is daytime. The big pig didn't know, but Chen Hao knew. It's because, tidal locking. Sure enough, the big pig is now a celestial body. Forget it, Chen Hao was too lazy to think about it. He looked at the palace in front of him. In this way, he also has his own place, and it is time to call back all the wandering beasts. Just like that, 2 days later, Chen Hao called all the beasts back. Let them get familiar with this new home and the way to come back and leave. Master, this is not the WAF continent. After discussing, we think we should give our home a name, and then we want you to give it a name. What do you think it should be called? Erlang made a suggestion. While eating breakfast, Chen Hao looked at the beast standing in front of him, looking at him expectantly. This place is the body of the big pig. The big pig's current name is Jiashan. In this way, this place will be called the God Realm. Hearing this, the beast's eyes lit up. What a good name. Now we are all Lord Gods, this is where we live, called the God Realm. It fits. Then, Master, you are the Lord of the God Realm, Erlang said with a chuckle. What Lord of the God Realm? It should be called the Lord of the Gods, Huo Feng smiled. I think the Master should be called the God of Creation. This is the body of the big pig. The big pig was cultivated by the Master. This world was created by the Master. The Master is the God of creation. Chen Hao listened to these little guys bragging over there, and he ate his meal while watching them with a smile. The God of creation? That's too exaggerated. I'm just a person who raises small animals. However, if they like it, let them discuss it. Now, what Chen Hao wants to do is to continue to cultivate these little guys who have reached the Lord God stage. To be honest, Chen Hao is quite interested in ascending and evolving. What will these Lord Gods become after ascending and evolving? That night, when Chen Hao was idle and flipping through the Universal Book, suddenly, the Universal Book lit up slightly. Seeing this sudden light, Chen Hao was slightly startled. What is this? Chen Hao looked at the card slot that was just empty, and there was an extra card on the card slot. Main God Stage Luo Feng Shen. Health, 1%. Seeing this, Chen Hao was startled and frowned. Seriously injured. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 280. The Fire Phoenix is now the Fire Phoenix God, belonging to the main god. As the main god, the Fire Phoenix is also a main god of strange beasts. In the God realm, besides Chen Hao, there are the Beast Masters. Although there are sometimes some conflicts between the Beast Masters, under normal circumstances, they are unlikely to fight at the risk of making Chen Hao angry. If it is not a problem in the God realm, it can only be that it has returned to the WAF continent. But even if the Fire Phoenix returns to the WAF continent, it is unlikely to be killed by anyone. You know, in the WAF continent, as long as it does not go to the Endless Cave, it basically walks sideways. What's going on? Chen Hao frowned. Although he wanted to ask, the Fire Phoenix is now seriously injured, and he can only ask about the situation tomorrow morning. Master, suddenly, a voice came. Chen Hao came back to his senses, but saw Qinglu in the form of a deer girl walking in from the door. The deer girl walked in and looked at Chen Hao. Master, just now the Fire Phoenix and I went to the other side. The God realm has two sides, one is facing the WAF continent, and the other is facing the outside where the WAF continent cannot be seen. Then, we saw the WAF continent, and the Fire Phoenix got excited and flew directly to the WAF continent. Chen Hao was stunned. Fly directly there? The deer girl nodded. I also planned to go there, but I found that after flying away from the God realm, my body began to feel wrong. I didn't dare to go too far, so I flew back. The Fire Phoenix flew too fast, and I couldn't call it back. Later, I found that the Fire Phoenix's breath disappeared, so I thought about coming to tell the master. Hearing this, Chen Hao understood. The location of the God realm at this moment has obviously left the atmosphere and is located in the satellite zone, that is, it is already in space. The distance between the God realm and the WAF continent is the space environment. Not through teleportation or transmission, this direct transmission method uses flying. If it doesn't die, who will die? Chen Hao looked at the Fire Phoenix card in the slot of the Universal Book. If you say you are second in courting death, I guess no one dares to say you are first. Master, what did you say? The deer girl didn't hear clearly. She looked at Chen Hao with a question in her eyes. Chen Hao came back to his senses. He looked at the deer girl, and smiled gently. It's okay, the Fire Phoenix has returned, but it is seriously injured and can only recover tomorrow. Later, you tell those little guys outside and tell them that if they want to go to the WAF continent, they must use big pigs to build the portal. Don't learn from the Fire Phoenix. The deer girl was startled. She nodded. Okay, I will convey it now. Chen Hao nodded slightly. Watching the figure of the deer girl leaving, Chen Hao looked at the Fire Phoenix in the book. He shrugged helplessly. Then he got up and went back to the bedroom. He lay on the bed and looked at the familiar ceiling. Tomorrow, Yuying, who has the lowest realm, will also reach the God Lord stage. Tomorrow, as long as it is given a godhood, it can reach the Lord God stage. When Yuying reaches the God Lord stage, the 7 beasts can enter the Lord God stage. When the 7 beasts reach the Lord God stage, they can open the door to the gem world. What kind of world will the gem world be? With expectation. The next day came in a blink of an eye. Master, it's done, a voice came. Chen Hao looked at Xiaobai, who was talking. Xiaobai stood there, and in front of it, there was a golden 7-pointed star magic circle. This is the magic circle that Xiaobai formed with its unique magic element mixed with 5 elements. And this magic circle was told to Chen Hao by AI. To open the gem world, you must first draw a 7-pointed star magic circle, and this magic circle was given by AI. Chen Hao asked Xiaobai to use its magic element to draw it. Chen Hao looked at the 7-pointed star magic circle with a diameter of 2 meters, and then looked at the 7-pointed star magic circle on the AI projection screen. It should be okay, Chen Hao said, and walked over. The 7-pointed star magic circle has 7 corners. Chen Hao put the 6 beast cards in his hand that had reached the main god stage into the 6 corners. Chen Hao looked at Xiaobai. Xiaobai seemed to realize something. It raised its hands and placed them in front of its chest, and saluted Chen Hao. "Master, please let Xiaobai serve you." Chen Hao smiled and nodded slightly. "Change." Xiaobai's figure turned into a card. Chen Hao put the card into the last card and also into the seventh corner of the seven-pointed star magic circle. As the last card was put down, the whole seven-pointed star lit up. Originally, this seven-pointed star was drawn by Xiaobai, who was Yinglong, using golden magic elements, and only emitted golden light. Now, the light emitted by the seven-pointed star has become 7 colors. These 7 colors began to condense in the middle of the seven-pointed star magic circle. Then a circular door was formed. A colorful vortex can be seen in the middle of the door. It looks similar to the endless cave portal, but this portal is colorful. "Is this the door to the gem world?" Chen Hao muttered. Chen Hao retracted his gaze and looked at the 7 exotic beast cards that he had placed at the 7 corners of the seven-pointed star. Chen Hao looked at the appraiser in his hand. "AI, can you take them back now?" A projection screen appeared with words on it. "Yes." Chen Hao waved his hand, and the 7 exotic beast cards flew back and fell into Chen Hao's hands again. Chen Hao put the 7 exotic beast cards into the universal book. His sight fell on the portal of the gem world in front of him. He stretched out his hand and put it into the vortex of the portal. Suddenly, the surrounding environment changed. Chen Hao subconsciously looked around. Just now Chen Hao was still in the palace hall, but now Chen Hao found himself on a snow-white island. Under Chen Hao's feet was snow, and on the right side he could see the sea surface with floating pieces of ice. Looking forward, he could see the sea level where the sea and the sky met in the distance. Suddenly, Chen Hao's pupils condensed, and he instantly felt a sense of crisis, and his body stepped back. Bang! Accompanied by a loud bang. A pit was instantly blasted out where Chen Hao was just now. Snowflakes flew. Chen Hao looked and found that there was a dark javelin stuck in the pit. Suddenly, the javelin seemed to be pulled out of the pit by some force and flew back. Chen Hao looked in the direction where the javelin flew back. A humanoid creature in white clothes stood there, holding a black javelin. It stared at Chen Hao with sharp eyes. It was called a humanoid creature because although it had hands and feet, its body was not made of flesh and blood, but gemstones. It had hair, but the hair was also extremely hard gemstones. It was pitch black, and its body reflected bright light, which was the reflection that only gemstones had. Gem creature? It stared at Chen Hao coldly with murderous intent. Chen Hao looked at the identification device in his hand, and words appeared on the screen projected by the identification device. Second level gem, black gem. Black gem, second level gem beast, a humanoid creature condensed by black gem, with strong defense and destructive power. Gem beast, gem creature? Chen Hao's heart moved. This was similar to the metal creatures encountered in the endless cave. Black gem didn't know what Chen Hao was doing. Its pupils condensed, its feet stepped, and it held the javelin in one hand and threw it at Chen Hao. This time, it used significantly more force than before, and the moment the javelin was thrown out, bang, the javelin tore through the air with a sonic boom. Chen Hao only had time to see the shadow flying over. Bang, the javelin hit Chen Hao's head.